Overnight tonight, dipping down to the mid-40s. Winds start to ease up a little bit tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine is on tap, and highs scrape 70, with more rain expected to roll in late at night. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 64.
And it is Wednesday. It's the noon hour. That means it's time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by Senior Benefits and Solon American Legion. And here's your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Senior Talk. Greetings and hello on a kind of an iffy day here in early September, but we're going to go with it. I know that we don't need rain. We need a little moisture. I don't know about a gully washer, but we need a little moisture. That is for sure. Well, I had someone say, well, today's the first day and maybe tomorrow that they could wear a sweater or wear a light jacket. It's been so hot. So, see, it's different strokes for everybody else on the weather. So, welcome on a nice September day. We'll take it because God has given us the chance to be here, I guess, today. So, you know, it's a great to be here with you today and a great day to be a senior, as we all know. And I'd like to say hello to each and every one of you and thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day to sit back and relax and tune into Senior Talk. And you're a senior listening or a senior gonna be, or I don't know about a wannabe, but senior gonna be someday. Or if you're in your 20s or 30s, maybe you can pick up on something that might be of help to you. We'll see what we can do here. It might be a help to you, but maybe someone in your family, maybe some of your friends. That's the goal of Senior Talk. Stir up the mud and see if it can help somebody out. And as you know, I do my very best to bring a lot of ideas every week that might cover important aspects of being or becoming a senior. And we'll have a little time for some history as well, of course. So pull up a chair, grab a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can cook up. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 76-year-old real estate broker, and I work mainly with seniors. I work with seniors and their families. I work with estates. I work with administrators of estates, executives of estates, trust departments of banks call me, attorneys call me, to work with seniors and some of their housing issues. So that's the story. I meet with seniors all the time, either your home or my office or a coffee shop, sit down and talk. And as a senior, you might not be under the gun to move today or tomorrow, but maybe in your long-range plan, maybe a couple years down the road, you think, well, where could we go? What do we need? What can we think about? And by the way, what is our house worth? That's where you could call Rex. That's where you could call me on my senior line at 319-330-5534, 330-5534, and give me a call, and let's see if I can help you. I don't know that I can, but no immediacy. Let's just sit down and talk and see what's up your sleeve here. All right. So please give me a call anytime you feel like it, and I'll be around for sure. Well, we're going to take this weather, as I mentioned, because it's been so darn hot. You think back now, for the last month and a half, it's really been hot. And I know a lot of people went to State Fair and just roasted their old fannies off, and it's been hot for a lot of seniors who told me they went to Little League games and ball games for the grandkids and just about died sitting in the stands. And everybody was forced to sit under one old shade tree, you know, that type of thing. Well, it's, you know, you can just answer with it's summer in Iowa, and we all know what that means. So now it's fall's going to give way here pretty soon. We're not giving up on summer yet. That is for darn sure, but see what happens here. All right. Speaking of not giving up on summer, because we've got a lot of really good weather left, which I think is a perfect time for you to do shift over to cleaning out. Forget the house. Shift over to clean out the garage so you can get both cars in. Ha-ha! I have so many friends that seniors, their garage is so full, two-car garage is so full, they can only get one car in. And so all winter long, their junk sits inside and their car sits outside. I don't know who thinks that's a smart idea, but it's not. That wasn't the reason you to get the garage, so you put all your stuff, quote, stuff in there and then not use it. It's for your car. So get busy. Nice weather, perfect time to donate some things. Maybe your grandkids need some things, have them come over and take some things, and your kids, whatever it might be, get busy, folks. It makes a lot of sense in your life to get rid of some things. Well, you know, the other thing you could do, since today's kind of an iffy day, maybe going to be kind of chilly, it's going to remind you that, well, one of these days you're going to have to turn on the furnace. Well, your old furnace is going to be your old buddy this winter, like your AC was this summer. So I suggest that you go get a couple furnace filters, one to replace it immediately if you haven't done it since last spring, and one backup, okay? And if you're like me, you get to the store and you can't remember what size you have, just pull it out, slide it out, take a picture with your phone, and then you know what you need. Just that easy, and you'll look really high tech. in the aisle, you'll just look high tech as hell, sitting there with your phone out trying to review the furnace filter. So do that. Take care of it. And there are just so many things going on, and all the seniors who are grandparents of school-age kids, you guys are so busy and going to get busier, even busier than that, because you're going to have activities and school plays and school games. And so it is what it is. That's what grandkids are for. So go to it. Enjoy them while you can while they're in school, and go to their activities. And you'll meet other people, too, having the same fun you are. So my hat is off to you seniors who follow your grandkids around in their sports or the band or whatever it might be. That's really a neat deal. So, a senior lady called to tell me this. Here's what she said. We honestly heard you talk last week about a title for a boat trailer. I did. She said, we have a boat, but are you sure we have a title for the trailer? I said, yes, I'm sure. I said, I don't know if you have it, but you better have one, because a boat is a trailer is a licensed, not vehicle, but a licensed utility equipment in Iowa, and you do need a license plate. So if you have a license plate, you have to have a title on your boat trailer. Well, I don't think we've ever had one. And I said, well, you should go get one. What do we do? I said, well, here's what you would do. I said, you should look on that boat trailer, up around the tongue area or inside. You'll find a stamped number. Basically, they have a manufacturer's number on them. And you should maybe take your phone out again and take a picture or write it down. Be a big long number. That is the official title number to your trailer. And if you don't have one, at least take a picture of it, maybe a model or something of it. Okay. And then you need to go down to 900 South Dubuque Street in Iowa City. That's where the administration office is, and where you get your license plate for your car. Main floor over to the northwest corner over there is the DMV office, and tell them your predicament. You have a boat and a trailer, and here's your license plate number. Take that, because maybe they can make you a duplicate title. Because if you ever sell it, you've got to give somebody the title to the thing. That's just, you have a title for your boat and a title for the trailer. So, she didn't say, are you sure again, but that's the story. So you got to have a license plate and a title to that trailer to make it legal. All right. Well, good luck to her. Take your license plate with you, or take the picture with you. That's what you need to do. A senior man says, why do we see tree guys trimming trees all the time, all around the city and Corval, Iowa City area, and out kind of in the country in the streets? What are they doing? They're always up along railroad tracks and streets and things like that. And I said, well, let's think that through. Those companies are hired by the electric company, not the gas company, but in this case, Mid-American Energy. Sometimes cable TV people hire them. They are hired to go along the right-of-ways of the electric company here, of Mid-American Energy, and trim up the trees and keep the trees from falling on the power lines, which would be great. Now, in the new subdivisions, the electric lines are all underground. That's cool. But in the older areas and in some city-owned and county-owned areas, the wires are above ground. Now the trees grow up, and now pretty soon the storm's going to come through, and the tree's going to fall on that wire, and you're not going to have any electricity in your house. So these guys have been retained by the electric company, different company. Asflund is one of the companies, have the orange trucks, and they got the big truck with the big chipper in the back, and they're doing their thing. That's what's going on. You are not paying for it directly. We're all paying for it as part of our gas bill. They have to pay the company, so yes, we're all paying for that service. But in the long run, it's a pretty neat service, because if that tree falls over and takes down the line, you're going to be out of electricity for, who knows, the afternoon, the day, 2 days, who knows. So they're doing their job, and they're pretty innocuous. They're around town, and if they want to get into your backyard, they have to knock on the door and get your permission. Now, they only need permission for access, because the electric company does have, you have wires going across your backyard, The electric company does have an easement 5 feet either side of the wire. So if you look, you stand underneath the wire right straight up, you're looking right straight up, the electric company has an easement 5 feet on either side, so a 10-foot wide easement that they can go in there and do that. But they honestly knock on your door so they can say, hey, we're the Joe Schmo from the tree company. We'd like to get in there and get access to taking some trees down so that we don't lose a tree and you don't lose your electricity. It's a pretty neat deal. All right, that's the story. I hope I answered the question for you. All right. A senior lady is all flustered, and she says this, I cannot depend on anyone anymore. I cannot depend on anyone anymore. She said, I have a hard time getting an appointment for a ride to go places, like a doctor's visit, or maybe to go to the bank. Is everybody so busy? And I said, well, are you a senior? Yes, I am. And she said, I don't drive anymore. So she said, I need to have access to a transportation. Well, I don't know what her budget is. I did mention, I said, you could call an Uber. And she said, what? And so I figured I gave up on that. So I gave her, a friend of mine owns a taxi company. I gave her his number. And you could also call Johnson County through the Council of Governments, has what's called the SEATS bus, Southeast Area Transportation System, SEATS, S-E-A-T-S. And you'll see them all around town all the time. You can call and make an appointment. They're not going to drive right over and pick you up within the next 10 minutes. But you call the SEATS bus, S-E-A-T-S, and you can get on their schedule, and they tell you when you're going to go to this end of town or that end of town, blah, blah, blah. And you could get a ride, and it's extremely, extremely inexpensive. There is a fee. I'm not exactly sure how much. It's not very much. And you could do that, and you can go to the grocery store. You can go take you downtown, and you can go see a movie. You can go to a restaurant, go to the mall, a shopping center, things like that, if you have an appointment. So there you go. So I gave that lady that hot idea. I hope she takes advantage of that, because that's why those programs are set up. Not everybody has access to a car. Not everybody, if they have access, not like this lady, she probably drove all her life but no longer feels comfortable, or had an issue and they took her license away. One or the other, I didn't ask. But she can still, needs to get around town to do some things. So let's take the next step over there. The next step would be, I have a good friend who reported it was not a good driver, and in the end the health was so bad that her doctor took her driver's license away. And at the time, she was in her 50s, and they took her driver's license away. So what are they going to do now? She and her husband, well, he drives, but now she goes to church groups, she goes to grocery stores, she goes to the secondhand stores, she goes anything she wants to do. She has to depend on either her husband, and he is around more and more during the day, just about 100% retired. So he's kind of the Uber driver. He calls himself an Uber driver for his wife. But at their church, they have a pretty good calling tree type of thing. And they have a pretty good group of ladies, in this case, that they go to a mall once or twice a week. They go here, go to a restaurant one day a week, blah, blah, blah. So she's kind of supplanted that. And her husband said, I asked her, the doctor said that I honestly think that I could give you okay to get a driver's license for around your immediate area in your town. And she said, no, I haven't driven for like 6 or 7 years. I don't even want to drive anymore. So it kind of got out of her system. But it has created some issues. If you don't have access, you don't have the freedom to drive, think about it. Where would you go this afternoon? Well, I have to have a car. I got to get to the grocery store. I got to go pick up my prescription at the pharmacy, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're going to have to depend on somebody else to get you there, and that is not a good thing for we Americans who depend on our cars and our freedom to come and go. So it can come down the road. It could happen to you that your health is going south, and all of a sudden they take your driver's license away, your eyesight maybe, that type of thing. These are the things that happen, and don't be surprised when the day comes it happens to you or your significant other. There just comes a time you might not be able to drive. You might not be safe to drive for others and for you. There will come that day. Look out. That's for sure. Hope it's not today. A senior man says this. My wife and I, then he stopped. He said, think. We are all set with things. He said, think. We have an updated and a new will, and we have located all of our investment papers like you suggest. I said, well, good for you. That is step 1 out of step 87 I would tell him about. But I didn't tell him anymore. I said, good for you. He said, we have taken the time and the efforts and the thought process to have an updated will, and for sure. And while we were there, we got the other financial arrangements, power of attorneys for me, for my wife, and my wife for me, medical power of attorney in case the doctor comes out in the waiting room and says, old Bob is about had it. He's on life support and nothing we could do. And lo and behold, Mrs. Smith doesn't know what to do. She'd feel terrible about having the doctor pull the plug on her husband of, 62 years. But Bob, in the meantime, when he was in great shape a few years ago, he signed, hey, if I'm ever under that, and the doctor says I can't make it, you have my permission to do what the doctor has to do to pull the plug, okay? So that takes all the weight of the world off of Mrs. Smith. Oh, I just couldn't have brought myself to do that. But knowing Bob back there, he's never going to come around. The doctor said he's never going to come around. But Mrs. Smith still won't have it done. And I totally understand that. I get it. But Mr. Smith, he was smarter than the average bear. He put together what's called an advanced directive. Advanced directive, one of them being a paper that says you affirm the fact that you don't want to be put through a hang-on for life type of situation. Wow, good for them. So I said, okay, you think you're all set up? I said, I've got more things you could be working on. He said, I'll bet you do. That's all he said. That was it. So good for him. Well, here's a little scoop for all of you who are entitled to get, it's not an entitlement, I don't mean that, all of you who are collecting Social Security benefits. The real number, the final number, comes out in late September or October, so it's just around the corner here. Matter of fact, it is September, for God's sakes, and October's next, for God's sake. Wow. The little scoop here is the new increase is not official, but early, I always call them antagonists, prognosticators or anything, 2.7% increase is in the cards. 2.7% increase in your Social Security benefit. So if you get $1,000 a month, Rex, the old math major, no, $27 more a month. If it's $2,000, it'd be what, $54 a month. And if you get $3,000 a month, it'd be 3 times that. All right. So that's how much more you get. Now, why bother? It doesn't even keep up with inflation. But let me go back to the beginning of that. It's an increase that you get, not an increase the government gets. So as minimal as it may sound, it's not holding with the inflation. It's closer because inflation is down for sure, but it's not a huge increase. Don't scoff at it. Don't look the other way and laugh. It's an increase that will come right directly to you. More power to us, you and I. Whatever rate you get now, it could go up by 2.7%. So sit down and use your handy calculator and see how much more you might just get with your first check in January. I like it because it's in our favor. They didn't come and say that this is going to go up, it's going to go down 2.7%. That would not be good, but it's going to go up 2.7% on this estimate here. All right. Here's something that's bothered me ever since. I think it's germane to senior talk. All right. This is true. I was at a public meeting a couple weeks ago, and there was a list of people scheduled to speak, me being one of them. And what you were supposed to do was write your name down in the list, and when your name came up, then it was your turn to speak in front of a city council, by the way, for a couple minutes. You got a couple minutes, and then they gave you the old high sign. You got 30 seconds, and then you're out. You're done. Fair enough. So you made a list, and there were 10 or 12 or 14 people name on the list. And when you got done, you were supposed to read the name of the next person, so they know that when they were in the batting lineup, okay, they were on deck or in the hole, whatever they're going to be. If you're a baseball guy or lady, you know what that means. So when you got done, you were then supposed to say Bob Smith or Jane Jones, something like that, so they know who could come up to the microphone. Well, about halfway through, a lady got done telling her side of the story. And she looked down at that list, looked at the list, and I can't read it. And I said to myself, man, that guy's handwriting must be terrible. So another lady who was sitting right there got up, looked at the podium, and read the name. It was like Esther Windauer or something like that. And she said, it's in cursive. Did you hear what I said? She said it's written in cursive. The lady who couldn't read it could not read handwriting. She could, if she would have printed Gloria Jones on there, she could have read that if it was printed. But she couldn't read Esther Windauer because it was written in cursive. So I ask you, so it must have been a younger person who couldn't read. Do you remember when you were in grade school? Sure you do. I was third grade. We started learning cursive. And Mrs. Lucina in my school, boy, actually we started learning the letters and stuff in first grade. Make it A and put your finger down and make a B next to it. Then put your finger, spacing. Elementary things, but that's the way you have to learn it because we have a goofy language, 26 letters, blah, 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 in the number system. So this lady could not read cursive, and everybody in the room, probably 30 people, kind of chuckled, not at the person who couldn't read it, but at the thinking of the system that we have today. Now, I don't have kids or kids in school, obviously, but I don't know that I guess apparently some schools, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say public schools. I don't know that. I am picking on them, I guess. Don't teach cursive, which is an absolute travesty. If that's going to be the case, you won't need to hire anybody's secret, double secret code. Just write it in cursive, and they won't know the difference, for God's sake. I just remember all the things. The teacher would come to me and say, Rex, I have an R, and my middle name starts with an E, and last name is B. So I'd make an R. You make your R's very nice. Your E's aren't very good. Work on your E's, Rex. So I'd tell my mom that I have to work on my R, my E, and my B. And then I have to print 10 words today at night. So my mom would have, or my dad would have me print some words. I mean, it's a real indoctrination type thing. Now here's this young lady, I think it was. She was in her 20s for sure. Could not read cursive. And I think that is a travesty. And I think that's a huge downfall. I don't know if it was a public school. I'm guessing it was a public school. Not good. I didn't say it was a public school here. I don't know that. But I'm just guessing that it's a public school, and it could be right here in town. I don't know. But I think that's terrible. I'm sure right now you're all thinking back to when you were in school, and if you will, the old lady teachers, boy, they beat you up. If the G didn't go down far enough below the line, or if the T wasn't across the I, the dot was I remember I got in trouble for having what you call a flying dot. The dot wasn't directly over the I. It was over to the right because I was moving on. So that's what we had to take. You'd have to write a sentence, and they'd come around and look there. No, the D is not open enough. Or the L needs kind of a bigger straight up and down with a bigger loop on it type of thing. It's the way they taught. And then above the chalkboard up there, they had, was it called the Palmer method? Am I right? Or is that chiropractor? Maybe that's both. I don't know. The Palmer method, it'd have a printed A and then a written A. So it'd have a written A cap and a small A written A, B, C, A through Z. And I remember I think up to 6th or 7th grade they had that up there. It was Palmer. It sounds right. Palmer method. And that's how we all learned to write. Therefore, that's how we all learn to read. Wow. How basic. Speaking of basic, here's this. I was talking to a local funeral director last week, and he mentioned that 70% of the business, his business, is now via cremation. 7 out of 10. He said 10 years ago it was 10%. So you could see the growth in that industry. Now, the growth in that industry eliminates the need for a funeral plot. It eliminates a lot of needs. It does a lot of things. It allows you to schedule a visitation and or funeral type of event at a different time when it's more handy for the family to get here instead of the 3 or 4 day blah, blah, blah rush act. And he said it's worked out very well for people. So I was pretty interested in hearing that. I don't plan on using his services soon. But I was there. So I've been getting a lot of calls at my office, rightfully so, about what's going on with all the properties, all the businesses, all the buildings that have been demolished in Coralville. On the Coralville Strip, if you haven't driven out there and you're out that way, if you will kindly look at the corner of, you're on Highway 6 on the Coralville Strip at First Avenue. So the Iowa Women's Softball Diamond is on the southeast corner of that intersection. We'll go to the southwest corner. There's a Walgreens. And right west of the Walgreens, there are probably 10 to 12 buildings that have been torn down. And probably 10. And there are backhoes and dump trucks over there as we speak, taking those things away. Well, what's going to happen? Well, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be the rebirth of that area of town. And there'll be some businesses stay down there. There'll be some buildings that remain down there because they weren't part of this project. But a large development firm out of Dallas, I believe. I know it's Texas. I believe Dallas is coming here, and they're going to do a whole recabulation of that area. And it will include a hotel of some sort, condominiums, apartments, business building, or you could rent for your business, insurance office or anything like that. Restaurant sites that take advantage of the traffic along the strip out there. And in time, there'll be more properties added to this. So I don't know which buildings are first. They've got all fall to clean that up. I don't see them digging a hole. Just me now. I don't know their timeline. I don't see much action happening over there till spring. It takes a lot of cleanup over there. They have to take out the cement slabs and the gas lines and save what water lines they can. It's a major project. Well, it's going to be, I don't know. It's got to be $100 million. I'm just guessing. Way up there. Lots and lots of money. And there are a lot of details down there. It's in a 100-year floodplain, so all the buildings have to sit. The footprint of the building has to be 1 foot above the 100-year floodplain. So any building you're going to go in is going to be a little elevated from the parking lot. Who knows? But let's think this through. It'll be all new place for businesses, all new place for people to live, and what a neat location right there. It's got some detractions. It's got a junkyard in the back, but that man was there before some of these buildings. The train goes by. It has since the train started going by there in 1856. 1856, the train started going by there. So we don't worry about that. That was there before you got there with your business. So it's going to be a new tax source, a new view, a new attraction to the Coralville Strip and to the business area. It will allow people to have start, open, move a business to a new area. It's going to be pretty darn slick. And I know they've got their head on straight down there. I've looked online at some of their other things that they've done around the United States. And good for Coralville, good for that area. You could live right there and take the walking trail over up the hill to Carver Arena, to football, to Kinnick, to the hospital. I mean, it's got some real attractiveness to it, all for sure. That is what is on the way to Coralville. So take a drive out there, keep an eye. There's other things going on all around the community. We all know that. So how about this? I want to talk a little bit about this. See what I could. My mother has managed the finances for her and my dad since they got married. However, she has and is still making bad financial decisions. For reference, she's now 84 and my dad is 80. A few weeks ago, she somehow got locked out of her bank account. So my sister ended up taking my mom to the bank to get it sorted out. And while they were there, my sister got a little peek at how much liquid money my parents have, or in this case, don't have. Aha! So mom and dad been playing it pretty close to the vest, and the kids haven't, I don't know, they maybe haven't paid enough attention, obviously, to mom and dad and how they're getting along financially. And here's the tip. Well, you go to your mom and dad's house or your dad's house, if mom's gone, and vice versa, and on the dining room table, the kitchen table, there's a stack of bills. You see a stack of mail there, half of it's unopened, and you see the light bill there, the gas bill there, you see the water bill there, you see all kinds of insurance policy bill there, blah, 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 premium bill there. And Dad's got a real pile going. Mom hasn't written a check now for a long time. You better get on it. You better step in, get yourself help her out, and or you can do that with her, okay? You can also go down and become power of attorney for your mom or your dad and take over the control of their finances. Because it can go south really quick, ladies and gentlemen. Things can go bad. Now, if this is you, maybe this is you. Maybe you're the one having trouble. Then you need to sit back and let go of your responsibility and say, I need to get my daughter in here. I need to get my son in here. Maybe my son-in-law can help me. Maybe my daughter-in-law can help me. Don't entrust this goal to anybody, but maybe you need help. Maybe you need to go visit your mom and dad and see if some of these telltale signs are in their home or their apartment. Like I said, these big things, big piles of mail, and they haven't read newspapers if they still take one or magazines, and they get bills or invoices there from all kinds of people. Get on it, folks, because it can go south in a big hurry. All right. Spending like your mom does can be a reaction to the stress of being in poor health. There you go. Spending like your mom does can be in reaction to the stress of poor health. So I'm not going to tell my wife that, because she'll go buy something and tell me she was under stress and duress and in poor health, so had to buy a new outfit. So that's the way it'll probably work at your house now that I let that cat out of the bag. And stress spending was in this being part of stress being in poor health. Don't let the women use that, guys. Don't let them use that on us for sure. Getting to know someone to look at their total picture financial can be very helpful. And I'm telling you, in your family, that should be very helpful. So get on it. The telltale signs are out there. They'll never, for the most part, they'll never concede. They'll never say that they no longer can drive, or they no longer should be writing their bill, paying their bills and stuff like that. They won't do it. I encourage each and every one of you to sit down, take some time, and if you're retired, instead of watching MASH, or whatever you watch during the afternoon, why don't you get out your insurance policies? Well, Rex, I can't understand it if I did. Well, you should be doing this. You should have make sure you have the correct name on the insured. And if you put all of your properties and things into a trust, you should make sure that if it's a $100,000 life insurance policy, that it should be payable to the trust. If you have a building and it's in the trust, you should make sure that the building is listed as the trust and not Bob Smith. Okay. Does your policy provide at least 2 years of additional living expenses in case your house burns down? How did you calculate the replacement cost? The insurance man said, what's it going to cost to replace your house? Let them decide that. My guy, last time, he told me that. I said, baloney, it's going to cost more than that. So I raised my own insurance. Did you account for any custom construction you had done? You had the basement totally remodeled. Have you added in there? Have you made significant changes to your home since it was last insured? You build on. Does your policy have, this is very important, does your policy have law/ordinance limitations? What? Does your home liability and fire insurance have law/ordinance limitations? Here's the deal. And here's where you're going to take it in the shorts if you're not careful. So your house burns down and you had it insured for $250,000. Now it's worth $300,000, but you don't insure the lot because the lot's not going anywhere. Unless you live in California and there's an earthquake, then your lot disappeared, which is true. They have to insure their lots out there. Certain area. So you need to call your insurance man and say, look, if my house burns down, blows away, and we have it insured for $350,000, do I have law/ordinance limitations? If your house does that and you go there, the electrician is going to say, I got to put in the new 200 amp service here. I can't use the 100 amp. That'll cost you more. But in the garage now, I can't use 5/8 inch sheetrock. I've got to use 2 layers of 5/8 on what they call the lid and the walls to each to be able to use 1/8. So the extra expenses start to add up, and insurance won't cover that. Will not cover that unless you have the changes on your policy for significant law and ordinance limitations. In other words, the law and ordinance updates, city ordinances, which now require different plumbing things, different electrical things like that. Call your insurance man, call your insurance lady, and go sit down with them. Let them interpret your policy to you. That's their job. You're paying them. Go do that. All right. I highly suggest you do that. You don't want to wake up without enough insurance. You just don't. It's not good. If you have a mortgage on your house, you have to have insurance, so don't be trying to skimp out on it. Excuse me. You're getting old when your back goes out, but you stay home. That is not the truth. It takes 2 tries or more to get up from the couch. My grandpa used to have a lazy boy, and he'd get to rocking, and on about the third rock, he had enough propulsion to help him get up. Yeah, he was a nice guy. Your address book has mostly names that start with the word doctor. Excuse me, pardon me, isn't that the truth? The pharmacist has quickly become your new best friend. Well, I'm busy today. I've got to go to the doctor, and then I'll have to run down to the pharmacy and pick up a prescription. And here's this one. It takes twice as long to look half as good. It takes twice as long to look half as good. In other words, it takes a little bit longer to get yourself what you would call presentable. How does that sound? Of course, men, we don't care. Men don't care. We just put a hat on, baseball hat on, and a shirt and go out the door. So I'm going to attribute that to the ladies. Takes twice as long to look at least as good. I'm not picking on you, just having fun. All right. Well, one of the things about life is there is a great secret, and the great secret is we never know how long we'll be here, and that's a sad secret, but it's a true secret. We just don't know. When I say we don't know how long we'll be here, I mean the word here, because you can be alive and you can be here, but you're not here. A stroke, disease, affliction, you could be here, but you're not here. And so I want you to start thinking about things you could be doing while you're here, all right? I want you to think about doing everything and all you can while you can. While you can, why don't you go on that little vacation? While you can, why don't you get started on some projects? Why don't you do that? And the other thing we need to remember, unfortunately, is that too late may come too soon, and that really hits hard. I was going to get around to that, but now I've had the stroke. Now I can't do that. I was always going to go do this. We were always going to go do that, and now we can't because we just don't have the health to do it. We just can't do it. So that's my problem. Is we need to think about doing all we can while we can, which is the same thing as too late may come too soon. I hope that doesn't happen. Well. Thanks each and every one of you for listening today. Thank you to all my friends out at the Solon American Legion, the Coralville American Legion, Iowa City Legion, Oxford Legion, North Liberty Legion, down to Lone Tree Legion, all you veterans, everybody serving today. It's what makes this country a great, safe country, for God's sake, our veterans. So thank you so much. Anytime you want to give me a call, my name is Rex Brandstatter, and I'm at 319-330-5534. Just call me and say, hi, how you doing? And Ron, give me a call back, Ron. I didn't have a chance to take your call. So I just want you to say thanks for listening to Senior Talk. We'll see you next time, and have a great week. See you next time. So long.
Hi, this is Tiffany at Senior Benefits. Are you confused